Hey, welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair coming to you from our studios in Eastern Shore Broadcasting, Fairhope, Alabama. So excited about today's show. It's an anniversary edition, but it's not really an anniversary edition. You say, okay, Tom, why do you have that funky blue background? And what's wrong with your left hand? The reason for the funky blue background is I think this is the exact same background that I used in July of 2012 when we did our very first That VidBlaster Guy show. And my guest on that very first show was Amnon Nissan. And Amnon is in the studio today and is going to be joining us in just a moment. But if you go onto our YouTube channel, um, Eastern Shore Broadcasting, and go back to July 2012, you'll see that broadcast. I went and looked at it, I guess, 2 days ago, and it was awful. It was just terrible. And I thought, oh my gosh, but you have to start where you are, and that's where I was, and I wasn't very good. I wasn't very good at video. I wasn't very good at audio. I wasn't very good as a host and an interviewer. But Amnon was so gracious and knew that he was coming into a real newbie and came anyway. And so now 2.5 years, 3.5 years, 3.5 years later, he's come back again. Today's show we're streaming live through Decast. We're seeing a 720p feed and a 180p feed. And we're also recording this so we can upload it later to YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, well, number one, we hope you will subscribe. But number two, go back and look at our video from July 2012. It was pretty horrible. For those of you watching live, we hope you'll join us in the chat room. And for those of you watching on YouTube, we'd love to have you join us live because it's a lot of fun and we've got a good group in the chat today. Let's see, where shall we start? I first met Amnon. I didn't meet him. I discovered him. I tripped over him. He's got this really cool show on Sunday mornings, online, video, audio. He and three other guys, most of them really old guys, but one young guy. Oh, we get some sound effects in here. And and these old guys, except for this one young guy, do this tech show every Sunday morning. It started, well, I'm not going to go into the whole story because I want him to tell you about it. But I tripped over it and loved it and would call in and would get in the chat room and finally just that was the impetus, that was the motivator for me to start my show, the VidBlaster Guy show. And so that was a lot of fun. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep this guy waiting in the green room any longer because the sound effects are going to. That's what happens when you leave his mic hot. So let me bring in Amnon. Amnon, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us today.
Oh, well, hello.
Now, Amnon is actually coming to us from Raleigh, North Carolina, in his studio there. And, we're using the old magic of chroma key and Skype and all that stuff to bring him in here. We played with it some this morning and came out with I think it's a pretty workable kind of solution. Now we have restrictions on where we can put our hands. For example, I can reach over to Amnon. Well, yeah, that's as far as I can reach, right there. Oh, actually, yeah, right there is the border. But it does. I think, Amnon, this brings out all sorts of possibilities for folks.
I'm telling you.
Tell me, what do you think?
No, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's amazing that I never thought that it's possible, that it would be possible to do something like this. It's to chroma key somebody else that's coming in through Skype. That's just amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And obviously, we haven't worked on it very long, so I don't know that our audios are matching in terms of volume very well. And I've tried to play with my lighting so that my lighting matches his a little bit. But those are the kinds of things that you have to work with. But golly, you could be anywhere in the world now and be in the same room on the same
Yeah.
broadcast.
Yeah, it's really, really, really nice.
But this isn't where you started. You,
No,
you started on radio, right?
I don't have a TV face. I have a radio face.
Me too. Me too. So you guys started on radio. You did the local radio show. It was a tech show,
Yep, we started in '93.
1993. Holy cow.
Yep, it was Computer Town, USA.
Uh-huh.
That's what they called it. And then we went to, after a few years, it went to Computers 96, Computers 97, Computers 98. Every year it was for the year. And when it got to Computer to 2000, I said, you know what? It's ridiculous. We keep changing the name. So we do it Computers 2K now, 2000 and now, whatever it is. And that's where we stayed since. Yep.
That's a unique name. And when did you make the transition from radio to video?
Completely in 2008.
Okay, but you did it. You had.
Yeah, before that we did both from the studio. With a very, very primitive way of doing it. We used Ustream with one camera, fisheye camera, and it was rough. But hey, the recordings are still out there.
Really?
It's amazing. I mean, the camera was behind the glass window of the production room. Like Spence will be sitting in the studio itself, and I'll be on the console, on the mixer, doing things, and it was really weird. That's when we had two cameras. Yeah, that's right. But we did it like this for not for long, maybe 8 months. I don't think it was more than that. And then we decided that's it. We're cutting the cord because the station was getting less and less viewership and more demands, and things were broken when we got there, and so it just wasn't right. So that's when decided to build the studio and started doing it from here.
And not only are you doing, oh golly, rule number one: always turn off your cell phone before you start a show.
It's okay. This is live. Hey.
Yeah, we're just chatting. We're just chatting. Not only are you doing your show, but you've made yourself available to other folks to do shows.
Well, I mean, the thing, Tom, is you build the studio, you put in equipment, it's great for what? For 3 hours a week?
Right.
It's kind of ridiculous. It's not like it's a room that can be used for anything else. It's a studio. That's all it is. So we started looking for other people, and at this point we're doing 10 shows a week, 10 different ones. I do one show and one other show that's not on a weekly basis, but is whenever available. The rest of them are other people. And actually, to the studio, I have 1, 2, 3 people coming to the studio. The rest of them are through Skype.
So you've got 3 people that are physically there and 7 that Skype in.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Now, the 7 folks that are Skyping in, are they pretty tech-savvy folks or not?
No.
Okay.
Well, one of them is actually.
Okay.
And the rest of them, you just help them, and you tell them what you want from them, and you tell them that they need to get a microphone, and you tell them which microphone to get. And thank God today with the new computers, the cameras are pretty good. So I don't insist that they will get an external camera. I mean, the ones in laptops are pretty good for that. And again, these shows are talking heads, what we call.
Sure.
What we call.
Sure.
And it's not a big deal. It's not action TV.
Right. So do these folks, are they doing a green screen behind them like we are right now?
No, not now on computers 2K now. Spence is using green screen. He's using XSplit.
Right.
And just so you guys know, and on the other side of the desk here, Mike Phillips is sitting there, and he's one of the hosts and long-time participant in Computers 2K now.
Well, I believe as old as he is, it would be a long time.
Oh boy, you're gonna let him get away with that?
At his age, you just have to make allowances.
Thank you, Mike. Happy birthday late. Mike and I share the same birthday. Although
but,
he's, I think, 15 years older than I am, but nevertheless.
So that's what you do. You tell them what to do and how to do it, and they don't always follow. And a lot of the reason why it does end up okay. And again, video is really, there's nothing to it unless you start doing fancy things. With the audio, you have to be a lot more creative. And Mike listens to these shows every now and then. And he would tell me, he said, nah, she's sitting too far from the mic. To me, it sounds great. And probably to 90% of the audience that listens to those shows, it sounds okay. But you try to strive to have it perfect, knowing that it's not going to get to the point that it's be perfect. So but by pushing it there, you know that it's going to go down a few drops, so it's okay. It's better than just letting them do it any way they want, because then, you know,
Yeah.
it's.
Well, you got to have some standards. I mean, you can't
Right.
just do anything.
Right. You want people to be able to say that when they go to Nissan Communications, the shows have good quality of audio because they listen to it.
Right.
They're there to listen. And I keep going back to it, that they're not here to see our faces. They're here to get information, to learn, to know what they're doing wrong or what could they do. That's what they're here for. So the video is, to me too, is secondary. The audio is important because I know if I go if I listen to a show and it sounds bad, I can't stand there and I can't stay there anymore. And I don't call myself an audio
Snob.
Yeah, you know.
That's the word you were looking for.
But I cringe when it sounds bad. So you can't enjoy it.
Right.
Next.
Yep. Well, let me back up a little bit because I really wanted to focus on this transition.
Okay.
When you guys were doing radio and you were beginning to feel the push from the radio station that they don't necessarily want you around anymore, and you're thinking, okay, you know, what are our options? Did you consider podcasting or a live audio only broadcast?
No.
Okay.
We already started doing video, so it was
That's right.
just a matter of doing it better.
Yep. And cut.
Obviously, for the first few years, it was, well, for the first 10 years or more, it was just audio because it was just radio.
Right.
But once you got bitten by the video bug, you can't go back. You try to make it just better and better and better. And it was, you know, I mean, as much as I hate to say these days, VidBlaster helped a lot. No, I mean, I'll be fair. I tried, you know, to use Ustream was hell, even though it was web-based and there wasn't many features to it.
Right.
I tried to use XSplit, actually paid for the first 2 years when they first decided they're going to charge. I even back then, I don't know when Martin started working on vMix, but I remember vMix when it didn't look like this.
Right.
It looked really weird. It looked like some boxes on the screen, all over the place. And I tried and tried, but with VidBlaster, it was, you got in and you did it, and I figured it out, and it was easy, and I stayed with it. I wish I listened to everybody else that told me, hey, you need to use Wirecast, really. And when I finally started using that, I realized what I was missing. But it's fine. I mean, again, it serves its purpose. It educated me. It allowed me to do what I wanted to do. And, with your help, I mean, we can't discount that. I don't. You can look at me any way you want. It did not do it.
I think he's talking about Mike. He's not talking about me.
Mike is saying he can discount it.
Yeah, I understand.
But I mean, there were bumps in the road, and we would talk for a long time in the evenings and figure out, okay, this is what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done, and But yeah, so the transition again to go back to it, it wasn't a sudden transition. We said, okay, we're doing radio, now we're doing TV. It was very, very gradual, but the transition from radio to do it on the internet, it was, I think, something like within a month, we went completely from one to the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and you had an advantage that I think a lot of folks don't have, is that you have Mike and you had Spence, and between the three of you guys, that's a wealth of knowledge, and
Yeah.
I mean knowledge that is, i.e., I know some facts, and wisdom that is, I have the ability to take those facts and apply those and put facts together with other facts and make sense out of it all. And,
Right.
You guys had that synergy between the three of you.
But again, and I'm not saying it because Mike is sitting here. I could have done everything video by myself.
Uh-huh.
But I couldn't even begin to connect a mixer and to understand, okay, I need to put this here and it comes out of there. I mean, without Mike, it wouldn't have worked. Because, I mean, even till today, if you take this mixer out of here and you give me the same mixer and say, here, go ahead and connect it, I probably wouldn't know how to do it. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at your mixer.
Oh. No, seriously, it's
Actually,
really,
I guess your mixer's over here behind me.
It's what you are geared for.
Right.
And, and Mike will tell you himself, I mean, when it comes to video, he's not much into it. But with the audio, I mean, it's second nature to him. He doesn't have to think. So that's what helped it, because without that, you can't have a show. With bad video, I mean, and in the beginning, we did have bad video because I didn't even know that we were doing it at 240. 240 by sound, I didn't even understand this. And suddenly you could go higher. Oh, okay, and higher.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But with the audio, it had to be right to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Next.
Good stuff. Well, I get so many emails and calls from folks that are coming out of an audio only background, and they want to add video, and there's not a model for how to do that. I mean, you guys have blazed that trail, but you blazed that trail, what, 7 years ago? 8 years ago?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There wasn't, and that's why it was podcasting. There's nothing to it. You plug your little toy microphone into your laptop and you talk, and afterwards, if it doesn't sound good, you cut it out and all this, and then you upload it. It wasn't live.
Right, right, right. Well, there is some magic to live. There's no doubt about that.
Sure, there is.
And there's an energy to live that you don't get in a recording.
Um, I never did recording, so I don't know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, the folks that are calling me are really nervous because, they've been behind the microphone and they have been anonymous in a sense. I mean, their voice was out there, but all of a sudden they're having to pull back the curtain, and here I am, and I've got to look good. I've got to look as good as my voice sounds. And podcasters have a tendency, I mean, all they have is their voice or the audio. And so
Hmm.
they're spending a lot of time massaging that and getting that just so. A lot of them in post production. And Mike can tell you he's heard, terrible ones where they've, got too much compression or their gate's not adjusted properly or whatever the case may be. But they're learning. And as much time as they're spending on the audio side, suddenly when they get the video part thrown in, that is a whole different ball game because suddenly now, well, I've got a client in California that does a health show, and they've done hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, and now they're moving into video, and suddenly this means they have to have a studio. That means they have to have at least have a green screen so that they can put something like this behind them. And they've got to have the ability, if they're going to have guests in the studio, to have multiple cameras and to switch those cameras and to add graphics and lower thirds. And there's a complexity that's added to it that can be a little daunting. But it doesn't sound like you guys were daunted at all by any of this. You just
No,
plowed into it.
yeah, that's where you're right. When you have a team that works, so it's not a one person effort. It's a lot easier, and especially when I could sit down and concentrate on doing the video because I knew the audio is done.
Right, right,
And I knew that the show will be okay because there are three of us, and between the three of us, we'll always find something to talk about. So all these things leave you in a situation where you can relax and do a better job at what you're doing. And I can take it the other way and say, well, maybe if Mike was not around to do the audio, maybe today I would be better off because I would know, maybe it probably wouldn't sound like this, but I may have been better off because I would understand how to do these things.
right,
But
Right.
I never understood how to do it because I didn't need to.
right, right. No, I understand that. And that is the beauty of trial and error. Oh, we've just lost our guest. That's okay. That's okay. But I will take off. Uh-oh. Are we getting a prompt? A prop? No.
A prop? No.
Yeah.
No,
No.
no, no,
Oh,
no,
no.
no.
Okay.
I need to get up and get something.
Anyway, okay.
But no, it's a lot of people, I'm sure, your customers, my customers will always feel like they can do better. And that's what scares us in the beginning because I should be doing better.
Right.
That's the bad thing about going to Blab. If you're going to Blab, you say, oh, I'm good. Because you don't know what good is.
Right, right.
And that's the but people think, oh, Blab, yeah, that's, everybody's using it, must be good.
Well, it's a
That's
great
the
place
problem.
to start, and you have to start where you are.
Right.
You just
I mean, it's just a matter of knowing that you have help around you. I mean, I was setting up. Who? Nick was telling me to use Wirecast. Steve was telling me to use Wirecast. A lot of people were telling me to do it, and I just couldn't figure it out because I knew that I have something that was working.
right.
But again, once I started using it, I realized, oh, so that's how it's supposed to be. So it was, and through the help of these people, and I got to say that Nick was spending hours with uh, what you call it, TeamViewer, doing it and doing it, and Steve was helping, Steve Haywood. And so it's nice to have people like that around, and Nick became one of our co-hosts
Right.
too. I mean,
Right.
he's on the show, and it's great.
So what you're saying is that Wirecast was so hard that it took hours and hours and hours and
To me,
experts to help you to
to
use it.
me, that's because
You should have
I mean,
tried
if
VMix.
I left it to Nick to set up, or to Steve, Steve could have done it all in 5 minutes.
Right.
I wanted to know how to do it.
Right.
So I would say again, okay, let's start again, and I would write down steps how to do it, and would look and try to figure. Okay, so it was not intuitive. It still is not that intuitive, but
Right.
now I see. Okay, yeah, this A, B, and C, and you put one and one, and it becomes a picture.
Right.
So you understand it after. VidBlaster did not have layers. What are layers? What are you talking about, layers? I don't understand layers. I'm not eating a cake here. So things like that, I mean, that made it easy in VidBlaster, the audio. You set up the audio module, and then it's everywhere. Wirecast, you have to set it up in every shot. VMix, the same thing. And I guess everything else you have to do it like that, right?
No. VMix one source.
Source, but when you create another shot, don't you have to add it?
No.
Seems like I had to when I was trying it. All right. So that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. It's to do all these. And then I'm finding out that really when you do it in TV, Wirecast is more like TV than for playing around and do your own show on the internet.
Sure. Sure.
So you sort of like accept it, and let me tell you the reason why I really got into it full force into Wirecast is when the hard drive on the old Xeon died, and I had a new machine, an i7 that I said I'm going to use. And at that point, I mean, yes, I put that back together, and I said, no. Now I'm going to go with a new machine and Wirecast all the way. And I sat there, and I had to build all the profiles for Wirecast. And that was the best exercise, to build profile after profile after profile, because every show has a profile, and some of them have more than one profile, because one is, I keep it like, one is for Marilyn when she does with PowerPoint, and one when she does it with Skype guests and PowerPoint, and one when she does it. So it's different, and that was great. I sat maybe for 2 days. I think it was a Thursday and a Friday when I didn't have shows, and I finished it, and it was like a crash course in how to set up Wirecast. And after that, everything just, the floodgates open.
Good.
So there.
Good. Well, I was happy to have been a small part of that at the very beginning.
You were a big part.
And you abandoned me. That's okay.
Yeah, right.
But that's okay, because once you got rid of me, it took two of them to cover.
Listen to you.
All right, we got a question in the chat room. And this is from Tommy, who says, Amnon, are you present in the studio with each one of your guests? I mean, with each one of your clients when they broadcast?
I do all the, I mean, I'm not on camera, but
Right.
I do all the technical stuff. I do the switching. All they do is sit in front of a mic and talk. They give me a PowerPoint if they have one. I stick it in the hub, in the USB hub, and I bring it up and put it in. But all they do is talk. interact and talk. So yes, I'm here. Every show, I'm here.
So the layout of your studio, when they talk, they're looking at a camera, but is there a do they get to see themselves? Is there a monitor that they're looking at that point?
Okay, they can see themselves in Wirecast just like they can see themselves in VidBlaster or in vMix
Right.
to see what's going on. But um, the best way especially when there's a host and a guest sitting next to them in front of me, I have the little Ninja recorder,
Right.
and it sees whatever the audience sees.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start the recording and I'll turn it around so they can see it, and then they know who is on camera. So if they see themselves in there, they're on camera. If they see the guest in there, they know that they can pick their nose because nobody sees them. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's good.
So that's how they see themselves. But they all got used to actually look at the camera, at their camera, when they talk to somebody away. The challenge now is to get them to look at the camera when there is a guest sitting next to them. They'll end up like that, like I'm looking at you, and the whole show will be talking like that, and they'll never look at the audience. And you try to explain it afterwards, and then by the time they have another one like that, they forgot all about it.
So you're handling the technical part of it, audio and video and streaming and recording,
All the technical stuff.
all the technical stuff. And you're coaching them on how to be a good talent.
Not during the show.
Not during the show. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And talking about the Ninja, I don't know if other people have it. I mean, the Ninja is a nice piece of equipment. I think at this point it's like $300. It's got a hard drive inside, and you can record on a 640 gig drive about 14 hours of ProRes video, which is a lot. And I always use it as a backup. Never had to use it until last week. I was doing the Vietnam show, and like 20 minutes into the show, I'm looking and I'm not recording in Wirecast. I was thinking, oh, shoot. So I started recording. When it was finished, I guess I wasn't thinking, so I took the drive out because no experience with that. So you slide the drive out of the Ninja, put it in the cradle that connects it to the computer, and it doesn't see anything. Or it sees it, but it can't open the file, which was 27 gig. So I tried this, tried that, nothing. So I stick it back in the Ninja, turn it on, and it says, I found a corrupted file. Do you want to recover? I said, sure, go for it. And it's nice. It's touch screen. It's only about a 3x5, but it's really a nice piece of equipment. It took a few hours. It finished. I put it back in the cradle. There's the file. So now I have a 27 gig file. So back when I got it, I bought a program called ProRes Converter, and so I put it in, and I'm trying to figure out how to reduce that. So I did it to MP4, and it was 4.5 gig. I said, nah, I can't do that. So I went on the Hangout to the guys, and I said, guys, I need an advice here. How do I reduce this? Normally, an hour show ends up about 500 meg.
Wow.
Everybody says, I don't just use Handbrake, and don't change anything, just by default. Put it in there. It finished. I ended up with a file that was 241 meg from 27 gig. An MP4 that was 241 meg. I said, well, maybe I need to do something to get it a little more. I looked at it. It looked the same. Of course, again, now I don't have the eyes for a video guru expert that may be able to see something.
Well,
But I did it. Say again?
no, I was just going to say it may not be eyes so much as, if you put it on a 55-inch TV set,
Possibly, absolutely.
then you're going to see the difference.
Yeah. So, but there was no way that I could get it any bigger. So I said, okay, this one will stay like this,
Right.
and I'll know. I mean, it was a good lesson.
Yeah.
But at least, when you do a live show, you do it, and that's it. There is no doing a do-over. That's it. And if you don't have the recording, man, and I believe in backups over everything else, but here you can't do many. So at least the Ninja was nice, and I got to give it to Adamus. They saw the benefit of they gave it to me back like 2-3 years ago. I reviewed it, and then I said, look, guys, I'd like to keep it. How about we'll just advertise for you? And I said, sure. And it was great.
So that's what this story is. Oh, I get it now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Things that are worth it are always worth telling other people and advertise for.
Well, and if it saves your cookies one time, it's worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Good story. Good
So
story.
yeah, so that's and so even if I sit here and I do all the technical, the basic thing of starting the recording in Wirecast I didn't do. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to automate pressing a button at the right
Well,
time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't start it before. I mean, the streaming, I do start beforehand.
Right.
And I wanted to tell everybody about the streaming. We do the reruns 24/7,
Right.
and it was going to 4 CDNs in the beginning. Later on, we got to higher resolution. The encoder in that machine, it's just an i5, was working hard, so I reduced it to 3. We were going to Daily Motion, to JustCast, and we were going to, I can't remember, ConnectCast. JustCast went out of business. We went to StreamUp, and when we do a live show, I add another one, which is Stream.me. And then Nick was telling me about this program called Restream. It's a service called Restream.io. Unbelievable. You go in and it's free.
Free. Oh, hold on a second. I
Free
like
is
that.
the best thing. You go in and you set up profiles for each one of your CDNs. So at this point, we stream to Ustream, Vaughn, ULive, Daily Motion, ConnectCast, 5 of them. But out of the machine here, there's only one stream going out.
Beautiful.
And it is unbelievable. Guys, you really should look into it.
What's it called again?
Restream.io.
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 We'll take a look.
Works like a charm. There is a paid service called
Jointcaster.
I can't remember. Joycaster. That's it.
Yeah.
With the thing though is you go in Restream.io and there are preset CDNs.
Right.
If you need to do your own,
Right.
you have to pay $14.95 a month.
Uh-huh.
So those I do from the switching machine,
Sure.
and it works great. Just wanted to
That's great.
mention it so people
No,
know
I'm
about
glad you did. That's a problem that a lot of people are bumping into is once they get a successful show and they say, okay, how can I increase the impact of my show? Well, I'll send it more places so more people can see it.
Absolutely.
And this is a good solution for that as opposed to multiple streams from the same PC. Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
There's a downside to that is that when if they go down, bam, everything goes down.
Right.
But I do that plus one. So I'm sending actually 2 streams out of this machine.
Right.
And it's running at 52%, which is fine.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I hate to do this, Amnon, but we have taken way too much.
Then go
More
for
time.
your show now. And now I'll
No,
let
no,
you
no,
talk.
no, 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 no. It's been worth it. It's been worth it.
It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me reach under the table here again. And yeah, okay. Oh, Tom.
Oh, Amnon.
Well, thank you.
What could I say? No,
was fun.
no. Actually, thank you because you were the one that gave me the confidence and the push to start my own show. And so basically, all this stuff here is your fault.
You had the confidence. You had the knowledge. You needed the push.
I needed the push.
Yep.
I needed the push was if these guys can do it, geez,
Yeah.
I can do it. Yeah. Okay. You're a great guy.
All right.
Folks, Amnon Nissan, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glad to have
No,
you.
thank you.
Glad to have you. All right, we're gonna
All right.
we're gonna try to wrap this thing up here. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I know we've gone almost an extra 15 minutes overtime today, which is 50%, and I appreciate that. But please feel free to shoot me an email if you need to, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com, if something that we've said today has piqued your curiosity and you think that I can help, or if you want to contact Amnon, it's probably Amnon at Computers 2K Now. But if you go to Computers 2K Now or go to nissancommunications.com, there's a contact form there that you can use. If you're watching us live, hang out for a little bit. We're going to do a little after show, and maybe we get Mike on and talk some audio stuff too. But on behalf of all of the folks here at Streaming Idiots, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Take care.